All right, and we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris. This is my channel, We Love Comics. Welcome to one and all, whether you're watching this live or you watch it days, weeks, or months later. I always appreciate you taking the time to view one of my videos. And I already see people starting to come in. So welcome, Christopher, Comic Addiction, always a pleasure. Niall Campbell, welcome. I actually had another video I was going to do today, but then for some reason I decided, you know what, let me look outside, and I saw, and let me put on the video camera. Hello, Huff House is here, Joel. I saw this package on my front stoop. So I wasn't expecting this box until tomorrow, but I'm not going to complain that it is here today. And we have some Grail comics in here. Now, I don't know the grades, because I like to learn these with you. So, Tim the Collector's here, Jerry P, Big Lion Cat, good to see you guys. Glad to see when I do a video announcement last minute that people will arrive. I appreciate that. And Comic Addiction says, oh no, the Yankees. Yeah, well, you know, I like the Yankees, what can I say? Living in New York, it's either that or the Mets, no thanks. Caleb is here, welcome. So I have this box, it's got 4 comics. So we're going to learn the grades together. And I cannot wait because some of these are Grails. Now, if you've never seen one of these before, I do a deal with PGX. Now, I'll say it every single time. I do not get paid by PGX. The deal I made is not only for me, but it's also for you guys, where I actually tried to connect with all 3 grading companies, and PGX was the only one to respond. And they put these separate, I like that, where I told them, you know, if I put an ad for your grading company, will I get, and they returned these, I like that. It's like, can I get a couple of discounted gradings? And PGX was kind enough to respond. They were the only ones to respond. They said yes, but I also said, you know, I want to make sure I make a deal with my subscribers. So if you choose to grade anything with PGX, and I'm not telling you whether to do that or not, that's up to you, but if you do, and you send in 10 or more, you get a free pressing. Now, my comics have grader's notes on them. Actually, looks like they didn't. Alright, so these might not have the grader's notes, so that's a little disappointing. I see the back of one of them, and there's no grader's notes. So they might have forgot, which is definitely disappointing. But they said, I found out from one of my subscribers that they put it on hold, and I think the reason being, I'm trying to do this so I can't see the grades, is the fact that they're getting new cases, so they have to redesign a lot of stuff. So I can understand that they don't want to put a product out just to put it out. They want, you know, something to be more quality. So they might not be doing the grader's notes for a while. As soon as I find out, I will let you guys know. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm not one of those people that likes to complain. So, I mean, I'm happy with regardless of what happens. So even if these don't have the grader's notes, is it disappointing? Of course, because you know, something I take pride in showing, that having the only ones that are in existence. But if it didn't happen, it's not the end of the world. I'm not one of those people that's going to think my life is ruined because something didn't happen. But yeah, so they're getting new cases. From what I've understand, they're a lot better than the old ones. It's going to be more improved. I'm going to be sending them the video showing all your suggestions. So PGX will be watching. So there's a video I did about roughly about a week ago where you can share your input about what you like about cases, what you want in them, what you don't want, and hopefully we'll be able to influence them. So we'll see what happens. So I don't know the grades. There are 4 key issues. I will tell you the price I paid, what I predicted the grades might be, and what the end result is. So there's one of them I'm going to save for last, so I don't know which is which yet until I see it. So I'm covering right here, but I'm just going to take a peek. Okay, so this is the one I'm going to show last. So I'm going to put that on the bottom. Alright, so these do not have the grader's notes. I'm looking at only the back. So they forgot that. That's unfortunate. But what are you going to do? Alright, so the first one here. Alright, we got Aquaman issue number 1. So let me show this. Now, this one I got for a pretty good deal, and this is one of those things where I tell people all the time, ask for deals. Don't be afraid to ask, because this one was on eBay. It was a newly listed book. They had it listed. They said it was about a 5.0. Now, that was their guess. I looked at this and I said, this looks better than a 5.0. But they had it for sale for $500. Now, there was no best offer. But I contacted them and I said, you know, would $400 be enough to bring this comic home? And they said, you know, it's a slow month. Why not? So I ended up saving $100 off this book, and they didn't even have a best offer. So don't be afraid to ask for deals, because, you know, not everybody's going to say yes, but the ones that do make it worthwhile. So what did I have to lose? The worst they would have said is no. So they said this is a 5.0. I mean, look at this book. And let me show the quote. Now, there are some color-breaking spine ticks, but not a lot. But as you could see, I mean, this cover is beautiful. And I'm going to cover it so I can't see the grade. Here's the back. And look how white that is. This is definitely going to be better than a 5.0. But we'll find out. So again, I'm trying to cover it so I can not see it. You guys don't see it. Okay. So I paid $400 for this, which of course includes shipping and handling. I said it's probably going to be a 5.0 to a 5.5. So roughly about the end of what they said. Pressing looks like it made it look even nicer. So I think this might even come out a 6. So people are predicting between a 5.5 and a 6.5. We're about to find out. And then we'll see what the price for that currently is and what the grading companies would say about it. Now, obviously, I can't do the grader's notes, but there we go. So I knew this was better than a 5.0. It came out a 6.0. Now, I predicted it would have creamed off-white pages. They have off-white to white pages. First appearance of Quisp. So, yeah, this pressing really made this book look nice. Now, I'm going to go over CBCS's policy for what their standards are to grade a book. And you guys let me know if you think this qualifies. So a bunch of people were saying between 5.5 and up to 7.0. So this definitely looks like an accurate grade, but let's see what CBCS says. So we're going to go to their section, because the reason I use CBCS is everybody knows that they are the strictest when it comes to grading. So to the 5.5 to 7.0 range, said the comic is definitely a red comic with handling wear, but still a very desirable copy. So you can see it doesn't look like it has a lot of wear, and it does look very desirable. Okay, so that's one. This could have one major defect, like a large piece out of the cover, or a long tear or detached centerfold. So as you can see, even on the back, there are no tears. The staples are intact. The centerfold is intact. So that qualifies for that. It has stress lines on the spine, increasing from opening and closing the cover. So as you can see, there's not major amounts, but that qualifies under that range, according to CBCS. This could have light reading or subscription creases or rolled spine, but is not damaged enough to reduce eye appeal. It does not have a subscription crease. A subscription crease is back in the days when they used to mail comics. It would be folded into the mailbox, or kids just folded it and put it in their back pocket. It would lead like a white line across here that breaks color. That's what's called a subscription crease. As you can see, it does not have that. It says also some discoloration, fading in colors, soiling is allowed. There is a little bit of minor bit of soiling on the top. But as you can see, again, with the cover, no soiling. There's a little tiny bit there on the bottom, but that qualifies into this. The cover or inside pages could have some tears or folds. I looked inside this book, because I always tell people, make sure you check the whole book before you grade it. No tears or folds. With the absence of many other defects, the cover can be detached from one staple, but cannot be completely detached from the interior. So that's good to know. Between a 5.5 and a 7.0, you can actually have one staple detached, but just not detached from the rest of the book. This does not have that. All right, books with slightly brittle pages cannot grade higher than a 6.5. This does not have brittle pages. Pages inside covers should be brownish but not brittle. These are off-white to white. And depending on the look, very small amounts of tape could be acceptable. So according to CBCS, even a 7.0 could have very small amounts of tape in that grade. So as you can see again, there is no tape on this book. So according to CBCS, this book absolutely qualifies in that range. So I know a lot of people want to say things about how PGX doesn't grade right. You guys watch live all the time, and as of now, they're pretty spot on. So it's unfortunate that they did not do the greatest notes, but like I said, what are you going to do? So let's look at, according to GoCollect.com. Now, that's the one I use a lot of times for the grades of comic books. So let's see. Now, according to their prices, they're basing it on CGC values. So it's going to be lower because, like I say, even though I work this deal out with PGX, I'm not going to try and misrepresent or try and give false information. CGC is the most popular grading service, and they will get the highest price. So according to GoCollect.com, a 6.0 of Aquaman #1 will sell on average for $775. So even if you take $100 away from that from a PGX book and bring it down to $675, well, I paid $400. So I would say I made a good deal out on that book. So even if I would have bought it at $500, I still would have made out. So 6.0 looks like a very fair grade. I read the information of what CBCS says. I think they were spot on. All right, so let's get to the next book. This is Flash, issue number 106, which is the second solo book because he starts out originally in Flash 105 for his solo story. It's like Captain America issue number 100, for example. I predicted this because it's a lower grade, but for the price I paid, I still cannot complain. I paid $247.80, which of course includes shipping and handling. This is the first appearance of the Pied Piper and Gorilla Grodd. And I always want to make sure I mention this. If somebody's nice enough to add a super chat, I want to read it right away. Hopefully I haven't missed any while I was doing this. But JD says, sub-creases are for books that are mailed in envelopes. Yes, it can be, but it's also, you know, back in the days when kids weren't collecting comics to put them in Mylars, you know, sometimes they'd fold them in half and stuff them in their back pocket. So it can happen that way as well. So it would still be considered a subscription crease. But JD, thank you for that. And I appreciate anybody that goes and does something like that. So let me show the back. Let me just make sure I reveal first that. For some reason, I don't know why it hides it. So let's cover this so I could flip it so to show you the back. Now you can see this still is in really good condition. Now you can see there, that's the major defect. There was staining on the back, so that's going to lower the book. So make sure you check the whole book before you give it a grade. A lot of people are grading this book and they did not get to see the back yet. And that's why I show people all the time. A lot of people I see, they will grade a book based on the front cover. I see it from people on videos all the time. And you got to base it on the whole entire book, not just the front cover. So I predicted this is going to be about a 1.8 to a 2.5 range. Now there's also a little staining on the top here as well. And you can see there's an uneven, this is what's called a, it's basically a manufacturing error. But that will lower the grade as well. Pressing couldn't get it out completely because I don't want them to force it because you can end up popping the staple. So I'm very glad that they take good care in the pressings. But still, as you can see, the front cover does present pretty well. Now, the stain is all the way through. So I don't remember about the inside pages, but you can see there's a little bit here, which means the majority of the stain came from the back. And it even bled a little bit. You can see the lines right here for the stain. So let me see if there's anything else. There's some, as you can see, There's some color breaking creases right here. So this is a lower grade book. So I'm definitely not going to complain considering the price, and we'll go over that right now. So I said cream to off-white, 1.8 to 2.5. And why is it, for some reason, YouTube is banning some people's grades. I guess it's YouTube doesn't like the number 3.0. All right, so here's the grade. All right, 4.0. So the pressing definitely helped. A little bit better than I thought. In my opinion, I think that's a little bit higher, but let's see what CBCS says will qualify before we automatically assume that that's a wrong grade. So let's go to the CBCS, and you can check this yourself. You can go to cbcscomics.com/grades, and you could verify this for yourself. All right, so let's go to the very good section. They categorize that from 5.0 to a 3.5. So let's read what it says, and then you make up your mind based on what they are saying are the guidelines, not what our opinions are. So according to this, the books are complete, but can have major creases and spine rolls. So I did show it did have a little bit of a spine roll. It has spine breaks, but as you can see, there's not tremendous amounts. So it says in this, from a 3.5 to a 5.0, could have major creases and a spine roll, which this does. I wouldn't say it's out of control, but they say cover gloss can be very low or sometimes no gloss at all. I'd say low gloss, but it says it can also have no gloss at all, so that will fit. The inside paper quality can be low and small pieces of the pages may be missing. Okay, so no pages are missing, so that qualifies. Books with brittle pages cannot grade higher than a 3.5 and generally are even in lower grade. Okay, these do not have brittle pages. This has off-white to white pages. So that doesn't qualify. I mean, it qualifies in that because it doesn't have brittle pages. Books in this grade are almost always creased, stuffed, scruffed. I can't speak. Creased, scruffed, abraded, and soiled, but readable. So as you can see, there is soiling. Okay? There is some creases. There is some abrasions. But as you can see, it is clearly readable. And I'll show the back. It is clearly readable. And again, I checked the insides of the book. So this is qualifying for the grade, even though some might think, oh my God, this is so overgraded. And last but not least, a larger amount of tape is allowed in this grade. This does not have any tape. So according to CBCS, this book fits in the category of what they say. So this may seem like some people say it's overgraded, but according to CBCS, and they're the most strict of all of them, this qualifies in that range of grades. So even a 5.5, according to, let me make sure it was 5.0. Even a grade of 5.0 could have all of those specific defects. So again, it may seem like a little bit higher, but according to CBCS, it is allowable in their guidelines. So let's look up Flash 106. All right. Give me a second to type it in. Okay. All right. So I wrote these out in advance, but unfortunately, when I backtracked, it erased it. So let's just retype it. All right. So Flash 106, which again is the origin and first appearance of Gorilla Grodd and the Pied Piper. Flash's first visit to Gorilla City. So this is graded a 4.0, which according to the CGC price on Go Collect, it'd be worth $600. So I would say probably with a PGX, it's probably worth about $500 because I'm saying, you know, it might sell, it will sell less. So I'm just saying $100 on average. So considering I paid $247, I still did well because even if this book came back as a 2.0, it would be worth $350. So still, I would have underpaid for what this book is worth. So whether you agree with the grade or not, it's not based on our opinions. I'm basing it on the guidelines from CBCS. So it is within accuracy. All right, so last two are the big ones. And David says, I would press any book before sending it to be graded. I absolutely agree. All of my books get pressed and dry cleaned, so it definitely does help them. So especially that Flash book, the pressing definitely helped. All right, so here we go. This is one of my holy grails that got stolen from me years ago. I've been trying to get this book for a long time. A couple of times I won it, and the sellers backed out and didn't sell it, didn't send it. I was very disappointed about that. But, of course, this is Amazing Spider-Man number 14, which is the first appearance of the Green Goblin when he was riding his broomstick. So also keep in mind that Amazing Spider-Man 17, which is his second appearance, is the first appearance of the Green Goblin glider. So, let me look at the book. I'm not looking at the grade. I'm not moving my hand. Now, you can see there is a crease that breaks color along here. There is creasing along down here, and it actually kind of looks like a spider web. That's why I didn't mind it as much. You could see along here, and as it's going down. So this is a lower book. Let me show the back. All right, the pressing, again, definitely helped, but you can see there's a little stain there. Is that a tear? No, it's a little bit of staining there, right there, but minor amounts, but you can see it's complete. Looks pretty white on the back. As you can see, everything is completely readable. So, let's cover this up. I paid a total of $413.99. I predicted about a 1.5 to a 2.0 with off-white to white pages. So let's see what we got. And then we got the last one coming up. So Comic Addiction says 5.0. I definitely would be shocked if it came back that high. But, you know, I'd love it. Here we go. All right, so a 3.0. So I predicted between a 1.5 and a 2.0, and it comes back a 3.0 off-white to white pages, which is what I predicted, off-white to white pages. So this is the first appearance of the Green Goblin, first meeting between Spider-Man and the Hulk. So let's go over what CBCS will grade as a 3.0. So that'll be a lower tier than the one we just read. So according to the CBCS website, their section of 1.8 to a 3.0. So that's good minus to good very good. So they say good is really a misnomer, but one that's still readable with numerous defects. So I showed those defects, but as you can see, like I said in the back, it is totally readable. Again, I check inside. Okay, the inside paper quality may not be good and pieces of the pages may be missing. So as I showed, front and back, well, I didn't show this, so there's a little piece of the corner that's missing, but that's acceptable in this lower grade. All right, large pieces can be missing from the cover. As you can see here, that's not a large piece. It's a piece of the corner. It's not a tiny piece, but it's definitely not considered a large piece. Let's see. Books in this grade are almost always creased, scuffed, abrased, and soiled, but readable. So again, you can see, and I'll show the back again, you can read all of the words, and the inside is the same, so there is some scuffing. There are some color-breaking creases, but as you can see, completely readable. Okay, long and many spine splits are possible. So, it doesn't have a lot of spine splits. On the top it does, and there's a little bit of a tear right here, but according to CBCS, there could be a long and many spine splits. Okay, let's continue. The cover and pages may be detached but not missing and still in collectible grade. So the cover is not detached, and you be the judge. Is that still collectible, or do you think this has been ripped to shreds? Now again, there's some color-breaking creases, but it's not like the whole thing is scraped off. So that absolutely will be considered in this category range. So it also says a significant amount of tape. We don't have to worry. Book may be fragile. The book is not fragile. So again, according to the CBCS guidelines, this absolutely fits in that price range. Well, in that range. So let's look up Amazing Spider-Man 14 as a 3.0. And again, it will be based on the CGC price. So if I was to ever sell it, it would be lower. But let's see if it is at least what I paid for it. Okay, so according to GoCollect.com, a 3.0 Amazing Spider-Man 14 would sell on average, because again, this is average sales, so not every one. A lot of them, especially on eBay, is going to sell higher. But a 3.0, as of now, would sell for $775. So let's assume we take 100 off for PGX. That'd be $675. Roughly, I paid a total of $413. So again, I paid less than what the book is currently worth. And even if this came back a 2.0, that's valued at $575. So it pays to make sure you're not overpaying for your comics. And that means you have to do a lot of research. All right. So last, but definitely not least, this is my third copy. I will get these each and every time. I got this right before that humongous surge that was happening. And I'm telling people you have not seen anything yet, because this book, once Wolverine and the X-Men end up in a Marvel movie, this book, I'm telling you, you think it's expensive now, wait until then. I have predicted that what Amazing Fantasy was about price-wise about 3 or 4 years ago is what this book will become in the next 3 to 4 years. This will be the AF-15 of the Bronze Age. So this is definitely a book. Even if you can get a 0.5, get them while you can. I know these are expensive, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Comic Addiction says, Chris, new card in mail. Here's imaginary $100 bill I wish I could give you. Well, I'll gladly take that, so thank you. All right, so Hulk 181, if you are a comic collector that hasn't been under a rock for 30 years, you know this is the first full appearance of Wolverine. Let's give a close-up. Now, the major defect is a tear that goes from here up to his hand. Otherwise, this would be a much higher grade, because as you can see, spine looks pretty darn good. Now, it is off-center, because you can see how the back, how that white gets wider. But that happens with comics. That actually happens in manufacturing, so they are really good with grades according to that. That's not really considered a defect, but you can't get a 9.8, at least I don't believe, with something like that. So I paid a total of $1,814 for this book. I predicted it to be about a 5.0 to a 5.5. Pretty much people are saying the same. Do you remember the staple status for 181? I'm not sure what you mean. Staples are intact. Top looks a little rusty, but that can happen. So people are saying between a 4.0 and a 5.0. All right, so sorry for the delay. For some reason, YouTube is blocking a lot of the numbers, like somehow that's a curse. All right, so I predicted a creamed off-white, 5.0 to 5.5. Last book of the night, and then we'll go over what it qualifies for. Dave says 5.0. Russell says 6.0. So does James. All right, here we go. The grade is, and there we go, a 5.5. I am definitely very happy with that. I cannot complain. I predicted a 5.0 to a 5.5. So here you go. And I'll go over what qualifies for the 5.5 again. But remember, like, it's not like I'm saying this is a 5.0 and it comes back a 9.2. So, you know, remember, when people are grading books, it's based on human interference. It's their own opinions. That's going to vary. But again, it's not a 1.0 and it's not a 9.8. So pretty much everybody was saying between a 4.0 and a 6.0. Now, it's a little bit harder for you guys to see because you're just seeing it on the camera. But I was, after looking at this and reading the guidelines of what the graders would qualify for a grade, I said 5.0 to a 5.5. Normally, I go like, for example, 5.0 to a 6.0. I usually do a full grade But this one I was really confident in that it would be either a 5.0 or a 5.5. So they said off-white to white pages. Now, let's go over the guidelines again. And I'll do it quicker because we've already done... Oh, actually, no, we haven't, because this one's a higher tier. So this is 5.5. All right, so let's just read it quick. So the comic is definitely a copy with handling wear, but still very desirable. You can, I'm sure everybody can see that that is definitely a very desirable cover. And you can see the back. This is not something that looks like it's been placed in the washing machine for years. So this definitely qualifies, and this is between 5.5 and a 7.0, so fine minus to fine very fine. Does it has stress lines on the spine and creases from the opening and closing of the cover? Maybe 4 or 5 at most. Very small ones. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. But it definitely does not have that white line where, you know, you open the book a lot and it creates that color crease all the way. That does not appear here. There's a couple of stress lines, which absolutely is allowed in these grades. Let's see. This could have light reading or subscription crease or a rolled spine, but is not damaging enough to reduce eye appeal. So it does not have a subscription crease. It does have a little bit of a miswrap, but that's not considered a rolled spine. Again, that's a manufacturing thing. So it's not damaged enough to reduce eye appeal. This looks really beautiful. All right, some color discoloration, fading in colors, and soiling is allowed. There is no soiling. And I would say, let me know what you think. Color-wise, that looks like the colors look pretty good. I mean, I've seen books where the colors look orange. You can clearly see, and again, even on the back, you could see that's clearly red. The color red. All right, so that definitely does not factor in. The cover and inside pages could have some tears or folds. So it does have the tear here. It just has the one. As far as folds, the corners look good. There are no creases in the corners. No folds, which is rare, especially with older books. With the absence of many other defects, the cover can be detached from one staple, but cannot be completely detached from the interior. That's not the case with this book. Books with slightly brittle pages cannot grade higher than a 6.5. This does not have brittle pages. Pages of inside covers can be brownish but not brittle. These are off-white to white. And depending on the look of the comic, very small amounts of tape. It has no tape. So again, this is the lower of that tier. So you let me know, based on what I read, do you think that qualifies? I absolutely do. So let's look at Hulk 181. Now, people, when I first told people I bought this book for $1,800, they thought I was crazy. Until they checked what that price of that book is actually going for now. And like I said, you ain't seen nothing yet. So again, this is going to be according to GoCollect.com, based on the CGC prices. Now, I'm going to say this is going to be $100 lower, because Hulk 181 is going to sell no matter what company grades it. But again, it probably will be cheaper than CGC. I'm not going to try and deny that. So according to the website, GoCollect.com, a 5.5 is currently valued at $2,500. I would say a PGX, let's keep it at $100 less. Let's say this sells at $2,400. I paid $1,800. That's $600 less than what the current value is. And that's before Wolverine ends up in a movie. So again, when I first did that video telling people get this book just earlier this year, because I was telling people years ago, but I was telling people earlier this year, get this, because this book is all of a sudden starting to see a real increase. People laughed and thought I was crazy. It's like, oh, you're going to spend $1,800 on a book that may come back a 5.0 or a 5.5? Well, that book, as of now, according to sales, is roughly around $2,400 to $2,500. I think I did pretty good considering the price I paid. So it's not the price that you pay that matters. It's what it ends up worth. So if, of course, I would have loved to have spent less. I bought a year and a half ago, I got Hulk 181 at an 8.0 and a Hulk 180 at an 8.0 that I spent $2,000 on. The 8.0 alone is worth over $4,000. So it's basically the higher the price, the less profit you make. But I'm not selling any of these anyway, but I may use one of these as trade bait. So I have 3 of this book. So if I want to trade one, maybe help myself eventually get an Amazing Fantasy 15, you know, it pays to have extras. So those are the books, and stick around because I will be doing today's surprise subscriber shout out. I just want to make sure first no one else did a super chat, because while I was reading that stuff, I can't see the screen, so I want to make sure that I did not miss anyone, because I definitely don't want anybody to think that I would purposely do that. Okay, so no one else. JD was the one that did it, so thank you. I did acknowledge him at the time as I saw it, but I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. We got a lot of comments here. Got up to 80 people that were checking, and I really appreciate that. Roger says, just so you know, Chris, I have a question for you. I can't ask it here because you only have 200 characters and it's kind of long. Well, you can reach me either in the comments section when this uploads, or reach me on Facebook. You can contact me there. All right, so let's do today's surprise subscriber shout out. I am going to give that today to James Hardy. So congratulations. And he writes, I passed on a CGC 9.8 for $5,000 because it didn't have white pages about 5 years ago. I've kicked myself ever since. We've all been there. We've all passed on books. I mean, I'll give you a prime example. Back in the 80s, I had the opportunity to buy a Amazing Spider-Man #1 for $1,500. And the reason I didn't buy it is on the cover, somebody in pencil wrote their name. Even with that pencil mark, it would probably have graded, from what I remember of it, probably would have graded at least a 5.0. I had it in my hand. I had $1,500 in my pocket. I didn't like the fact, because I was getting a lot of high-grade books back then. I mean, like I said, the highest book I ever spent money on, which unfortunately got stolen, was my Amazing Spider-Man #9. I paid $125 for that book back in the days. That would have easily been a 9.6, if not a 9.8. And I was nervous that I spent $125 on it. So for $1,500 back then, that was, you know, very iffy. But I regret it, but, you know, don't beat yourself up. You're going to win, you're going to lose. It's just part of the game. Don't get yourself crazy about it. So let me show the books in case you've come in. And again, watch the whole thing so you can see. Now, like a lot of people, for some reason, when they do the grades of their books, they think that they're professionals. And they'll look at a book and say, oh, how could this not be a 9.8? And they just look at the front cover. Well, we got to stop basing it on our own personal feelings. We got to go by the guidelines. And that's why I didn't use PGX's guidelines. I didn't use CGC's guidelines. I used CBCS because I know they are the strictest grading company, and most people will not dispute that. So I read what would qualify for specific grades. And if you read the very thing that I wrote, and again, you can go to CBCS's website and see this for yourself, you'll see that these grades actually qualify, even if you may not personally agree. You know, we're not professionals, so who are we to say what's right and what's wrong? It's not something like it was a 2.0 and a book came back an 8.5. If it's a grade higher or lower, you know, again, it's due to interpretation, and it's also based on the information provided, not our own personal feelings. So whether you agree or not, that's up to you. I'm very happy overall. None of these, I mean, one, like the Flash one, I thought maybe been 0.5 higher than maybe it could have been. But when I read the information of the guidelines, I'm perfectly fine with it. All right, so here's the books. This was the one I just showed, the Hulk 181. This is the first full appearance of Wolverine. I paid $1,814. It came back a 5.5. Came back with off-white to white pages. Definitely a very presentable, very beautiful cover. I could just imagine if it did not have this tear here, this probably would have came back a 6.0 to a 6.5. But I'm still happy with a 5.5. All right, next up, this is one I've been waiting a long time to get. But as they say, better late than never. This is Amazing Spider-Man #14, which is the first appearance of the Green Goblin and his flying broomstick. I paid for that $413.99. Came back a 3.0, off-white to white pages. Again, pressings and dry cleanings absolutely help. I highly recommend that you get them. Next one, a couple of people said they didn't agree with it, but I did read off the requirements, and it did fit. This is Flash number 106. I paid $247.20 for this. First Gorilla Grodd, first Pied Piper, second Flash in his solo series. Came back a 4.0. Still happy with that. I will not take that out of the case because I don't think that's out of the realm of what the guidelines say. And last but not least, very happy with this one. Aquaman number 1. When they said that this was a 5.0, I said there's no way. It's definitely more beautiful than a 5.0. But, you know, so people make their own personal opinions. We're not professionals. We leave it up to the professionals. I paid $400 for this book. I asked for the deal. They had it listed at $500 without a best offer. Most people would have either paid the $500 or they would have skipped it. I asked, would you take $400? They said yes, and it came back a 6.0 off-white to white pages. So those are the books. Very happy with these. The next batch has already been sent out. In case you haven't seen that video, please, I recommend you check it out so you can see the books that I have sent in that they just received a couple of days ago. Keep in mind that if you are sending any books to PGX, there is going to be a delay because they're getting new cases and they're waiting for some of them to come in. So people weren't happy with the fact that they had to snap them off and sometimes it would leave a side residue. So he said the new cases are a little bit thicker, a little bit sturdier, and they won't have that. I mean, me, honestly, I care about this and I care about this. I don't really care about the side, but I can understand where people, you know, if you're paying for something, you want to have something that looks appealing in all ways. Some people are a little bit stricter. Some people are just happy with what they get. So, but I can understand if somebody wants to not have that kind of stuff. So if you are sending stuff to PGX, there will be a delay. Just keep that in mind. But it's for good reasons. It's because they're trying to improve the product. So again, I made a video the other day based on what you would like to see changed in the slabs. Share your opinions, and I will be sending it the next day or so to Daniel Patterson, who is the owner of PGX, and he will listen. We'll see how much they can actually, you know, change. But remember, it does take time to redo everything, so there might be delays. So let me just read this last comment, and I'll let you go so you don't have to spend all day looking at this mug. But Johnny Future says, Chris, I just bought Superman 28 coverless. What website can I view an entire book, including front and back? I don't suggest using one search engine. I always suggest Bing.com. I will not use the G one because I just don't appreciate what that company does to us. But just type in the search engine, whichever one you choose, Superman 28 Golden Age, and there'll be a bunch of different links that you can check where you'll see the cover and things like that. That's what I would highly recommend. So it's good that you want to do the research, and congratulations on that book, because even coverless, you know, you're owning a book that is, what, 80 years old, that you probably may or may not have been alive for when that book came out. And yeah, I mean, for me, coverless books, if I can get it cheap and I couldn't afford it the regular way, hey, who knows, maybe I'll find a cover someday. So that's the video. I hope you appreciated it. If you do, thumbs up always shows support. Leave comments once this video has uploaded. I will have a video tomorrow. The video I was going to do today, I'm going to be doing tomorrow roughly around 6:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So if you like watching my videos, stick around for that for tomorrow. Put that on your calendar. And thank you very much for watching. We had a large group of people. Whether you agree or not, you know, if that's your own personal opinion, I'm very happy with what I got. I cannot complain, and I'm looking forward to the next batch, and I will continue to work with them. I don't have a problem with them. So if you do, that's up to you. I'm not here to tell you anything other than sharing my experience with the company. So thanks for listening. Have a great day, and don't forget, it's not you, it's not I, it's We Love Comics, especially when they're graded. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you next video. Peace.